Hanson from One Nation. Hi, Pauline. Thanks so much for your time.
No, thank you, Angie, for having me on.
So what are your thoughts on the whole situation that's happened in the last sort of 20 hours or so?
I think, like a lot of Australians, we're shocked, angry and saddened by what has happened and by the loss of innocent lives in this. And, we're talking about, from a 10-year-old to an 87-year-old. And it just begs us to believe that this could actually happen. I'm going to point the finger at the Prime Minister and the way they've handled the situation since October the 7th, 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. And I've seen the rise of anti-Semitism in the country, and I don't believe it's been dealt with properly. And when we talk about, and I spoke to a group of Jewish students just a couple of weeks ago in the last week of Parliament sitting there, and they told me, what they've been through, the bullying, just walking the streets, going to school. We've seen it happen to the Jewish community with the bombings or fires that actually happened. The way the people have been treated, I've spoken to the Jewish community that they believe in the country because they don't feel safe. They never felt safe. And it's just a build-up of different things that have happened, and I think that the Prime Minister should have dealt with it a lot better than what he did to put a stop to it. And I also believe that, when you have these Palestinian protest rallies that were happening, flying Palestinian flags and allowing it to happen in the face of anti-Semitism that was going on in the country, that should have been stopped, absolutely stopped and dealt with. And then you've got the hate preachers on our streets. It's just a combination of a lot of things, bringing out the Ghazians into Australia without, proper checks on them. It's just been a build-up of things that have happened in our country, and people now are saying, this is not the country I grew up in. This is not the country that I wanted when I moved here. And you've got people from all different cultural backgrounds and walks of life, and people are in shock, as I am, absolutely in shock.
Pauline, how would you start to deal with anti-Semitism? What would you like to see in place?
What I would like to see in my policy is 10 years before you can get your citizenship in Australia, and you have to pass a test for it. We are so slack on what we expect people to give an oath for in this country. I would not allow Palestinian flags or any flag from another nation to be flown on our streets. The only flag we have is the Australian flag. I'd also like to see, and I will keep going with this, to ban the burqa. The people who want to see the women covered up are those radical Islamists. They're the ones that want to control their women and pushing this. It's the Jews now, the hatred towards the Jews, have no doubt that these people who are radicalised Islamic ideologists, they are the ones now that they hate Western values and they hate Christian values and they hate the Jews. These are people that we must make sure who we bring into the country, look at the background, where we bring these people from. And I'm not targeting all Muslims, by no means. I've had a Muslim that has stood for me for Parliament, and she was a hard-working Australian businesswoman who dressed just like every other Australian out there. But when you've got communities here that people are in fear to go into, or you're actually told by police, do not come here because you're not dressed the way that fully dressed, clothed as a one of these female head to toe covered. We've allowed this to happen in our country, and it is against our way of life, our culture, our laws, and until we vet people a lot more so who come into the country. And like I said, we've seen hate preachers on our streets. You wouldn't have that. I wouldn't allow that. Preaching the hate, what was done about that? Why were Jewish people stopped and turned around and said, if you walk over there, you're actually creating, probably a violence? Why not go after the people that were there preaching? It's just been so turned around. And to hear our Prime Minister get on, radio and say, we don't want division. He's created division in our nation, not only with this about the, anti-Semitism and not doing anything about it, Palestinian marches, also the voice. He has created so much division in our nation that I've got absolutely no time for him. He's a weak, gutless leader, and I personally, I would like to see him step down, or I would like him to call an election and let the people decide, has he been a good leader for the nation or not?
Pauline, what's your response to one of the shooters, the 24-year-old? He was Australian born.
Well, these people have been radicalised. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So then you look at his father. Where did his father come from? So here it was a father and son. So you've got to look at these people where they come from, coming into the country. And the radicalisation is happening all the time, and ASIO knows about it. We actually, last year, we came to a probable. That's a 50% of a terrorist attack in Australia. That was unheard of prior to 2005. So why have we allowed a country to get this stage now? People want to know that they feel safe. People want to know that they can, walk our streets and feel comfortable. How many people, I can't. Look, I've had contact from that many people say they've gone to shopping centres and they don't feel comfortable. They go to areas they don't feel comfortable. Why do people feel that way now? And if we can't take a heed from this warning sign that's, shown to us in this massacre that's happened, then we're going to head down the path more so, and we're going to become more like England, France, Germany, Denmark, Canada. Our country is going to become so unrecognisable, and it's only through strong leadership and bringing in tough laws that we can actually then, say, we're not going to put up with this anymore in the country. But it comes from strong leadership, from a strong leader and Prime Minister, and it's not Albanese